Let's Get Down to Business is presented by Bravo, the marketing arm of Ash Brokerage Corporation, a practice enhancement company. All this week, it's the Advanced Insurance Sales Series. And on today's show, Executive Bonus Plans. And with me today is nationally recognized advanced sales expert and creator of Insmark, Bob Ritter. Hi everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and contributing author to Backroom Technician. Let's get down to business. Well, welcome to day two, Bob. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Well, here we are on the show again, and we're talking about something that's been around forever. Section 162 Executive Bonus Plans. But actually, several carriers have nuances that they use, whether you're using a double bonus plan, single bonus plan. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this because a lot of times people say, well, you're kind of just, a 162 is a good discriminatory retirement plan that you can give to executives. You can carve this out, and if we bonus them the tax to pay their taxes on it, the company gets to write the 1099 off. But there's been changes in this. We've had some creativity by carriers, surprisingly, by the way, that they've come up to the table. Let's talk about the basic one. AXA loans the money to the client. Can you talk a little bit about that, and how can I show that on Insmark?
Yes, there's basically 7 ways to do an executive bonus plan, and that's clearly one of them. And it's quite easy. The carrier's got the money, they get the profit of the life insurance policy, they loan the tax instead of having an employer bonus the tax, and they have a lien on the policy to the extent of the loan. I would suspect. I don't. Right?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. So it's a neat idea. I think, frankly, the idea of borrowing the money out of the policy yourself may be more effective, particularly with the indexed UL policies that have arbitrage on their loan.
Well, and let's just talk about that for a second, because trying to get carriers at the beginning of all this, especially when indexing came out and then participating or arbitrage loans came out, carriers were reluctant to let us come into cash values early on in the contract, anytime in the first 5 years, to go ahead and execute any policy loans. Now with arbitrage or the kind of participating loans, I could be in there, especially like I'm using ING, their solar plan.
Yep.
And I'm thinking that, when I'm looking at that kind of contract, I can actually get to cash in the first year.
Yes. Now
talk about that, because remember, we're kind of leveraging it here. And I just want to make sure what our advisors see.
Well, I think you have to be after arbitrage to do that idea, borrow that quickly. Because in a sense you don't really need to. You could do a lower paid plan and gross the bonus up and be in somewhat the same position. But with the arbitrage inherent and the kind of loans you can make on a UL policy these days, it makes great sense never to withdraw to basis. Always do loans, whether you do them in the early years or later years.
Well, let me ask, can I answer you on that?
Sure.
Let's say I have a bad year, and let's further say that my actual cost to loan is 5%. And in those contracts, you have your choice between fixed and variable, but let's say I have a 5% loan. If I tried to arbitrage and I'm already taking income, I have to pay 5% of my loan.
You wouldn't do that contract.
Okay, but could you use withdrawals to basis
Yes,
in a
you
bad
can.
year,
Sure.
so that you wouldn't have to spend any?
Absolutely.
So I like the.
But you don't want to borrow. You don't want to borrow within the first 15 years on a UL policy.
Without
in
question.
Most cases.
Right. Because remember, most of us who are purists in the income scenario believe in suppressing the TAMRA death benefit down to the ground. If you took out withdrawals to basis during the first 15 years of the contract, you could trigger the force-out rule, and that's why Bob's bringing it up. But when I get out there into distributions, when I'm past 15 years, I think some of us have forgotten, yes, if you have bad years, and by the way, here's an example, 2001, 2002, and 2003, 3 straight years, negative years in the S&P 500. During that time period, if you were taking loans out, that was costing you an arm and a leg. If you were, like in my example, 5%, and that was a compounded loan. So if I'm sitting in distributions and I might be able to punt and withdraw to basis in bad boy years.
And that requires an agent who stays on top of the case, because the client won't remember to do that.
By the way, this show's not brought to you by ING, but I have to bring it up because they're really done it good. They have a new concierge service out. That concierge service actually has a 24/7 open to customer service to be able to tell the client, should they withdraw that time, should they loan, they keep them up to snuff. They can go out there and look at their own contract during the distribution years. Up till now, we haven't had that kind of maintenance or monitoring or surveillance service.
That's a big deal.
That's a big deal. And to me, I would say if you had a choice between, if everybody was pretty equal on the illustrations, that might be the distinction. So if I'm looking at International Niederlander Group, I mean, I think that might be the way to go. So you want to look at concierge service to me to be able to manage something like this. But when we're talking about it, I'm looking at the company paying the double bonus, paying the taxes. I'm looking at maybe like in our example, AXA fronting the money for it. And now I'm looking at, I'm taking the money out of a policy and doing this. Is there any one way that always shows up on INSMARC? Is there any one solution that looks better than the other?
No, I don't think so. I think, again, it depends upon what you're trying to design with the case. If I had to pick only one, I would take the money out of the policy yourself and use a controlled bonus if you're not an owner. If you're doing it for key people, because that controlled bonus, I think, is one of the best ideas that ever came along.
Could I compare on INSMARC the company fronting the money, or AXA sending the loan out, or taking the money out of the policy like with ING?
Yes.
I could do that.
Yes.
So I think that's where I'd look at if I'm using life insurance as a supplementary retirement plan and I want to see which one is the best modeling from a distribution point of view. I'm going to start looking at all three of these ideas, not only from a due diligence point of view. I just want to know, did I do the math? Did I look at every angle on this so that I can sit in front of my client and say, I've been as empirical as I can get here. Now, when you think about this, do most advisors use it in that comparison, that deep of a comparison?
No, some do. We have an export command on our software that will take the executive side of any fringe benefit, dump it into the storage files like a policy, but then you then run it in and compare that to taxables or equities or whatever to show what the executive could have done with his share of the cost. That's a very big deal too. That's one unusual comparison we do that not a lot of folks I think are even aware of.
When we come back from the break, we'll continue our discussions on executive bonus plans and the various options of funding executive cash bonus benefits. And don't forget Bob's free trial offer to take INSMARC for a spin at insmark.com/free offer/ash. And remember, you can also sign up for the 30-day free trial offer from Backroom Technician at brtnow.com/trialsignup.aspx. We'll be right back after the break.
Take a close look at your hard-earned dollar. How do you think your money's doing? Are you keeping an eye on it? Is it protected from taxes, inflation, and market risk? Over time, those Washingtons could become Franklins. With tax-advantaged indexed universal life from one of the largest distributors of indexed universal life, Ash Brokerage.
Hello, welcome back. I'm Steve Savant with Bob Ritter. And remember, you can watch all our episodes of Let's Get Down to Business, including my weekly consumer show, Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game, at ashbrokerage.com. Just click on the show logo on the homepage. It'll take you right out to the shows. And just a heads up, before moving forward with any of the ideas you ever hear on our show, always consult your tax advisor or your legal counsel, as well as your broker-dealer compliance officer. Well, let's get down to business. We're discussing executive bonus plans and the various options for funding executive cash benefits. Okay, welcome back from the break. We're talking about, now Bob mentioned this already, he has the 7 different standard variation and leverage variations: the single bonus, the graded bonus, the grossed up bonus, the controlled bonus, the leverage bonus plan, the leverage bonus plan 2, and the leverage bonus plan 3. All 7 iterations and versions can really be compared, and I like this because it really gives me some idea of what I can do. Now I'm looking at this graph. Bob, talk to me about this first one, single bonus plan.
Single bonus. Corporation pays a bonus equal to the premium. The exec pays the income tax. His values are those top 3 numbers right there: $1.8 million in long-term cash flow for retirement, $637,000 of residual death benefit, inside $599,000 of cash. Watch these as we go along, because these upper numbers will be the same, but these two will switch depending upon how much the corp pays or how much the exec pays.
Every one of these, again, when we're showing these to you, these all are the comparisons that you can make sure you can quantify what is the best way to go. Talk about this second one, our controlled bonus plan.
This is a controlled bonus plan with the coupled with the gross up. You can see there's no executive's cost on here, it's 0, but the corp's cost is higher because they gross the bonus up. The controlled bonus is a whole different animal, where the executive signs a form that if he leaves the firm prior to X, retirement, 10 years, whatever, that he owes the money back.
So there's some kind of collateral or something going on in this regard?
It's vaguely like a split dollar plan without any economic benefit.
Okay, Bob, we're talking about the leverage bonus plan. Walk me through and take a little time on this one to show me this, and then we'll show you the next slide that goes with this.
Well, this is the sense of the Ing plan, really. It's not their plan, but it's, you know, our graphic on their plan would look like this.
So we're borrowing the actual taxable event from my policy.
From the
What year?
policy,
What
yeah.
year am I doing this?
I think we're doing years, it's a 1 through 5 pay, and I think we're doing 2 and 6.
Oh, so we're taking out at the end of the first year, we're taking out some money to pay for the
yeah,
taxes.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
And there's very little cost to the executive on this one. Theoretically, no cost to the corporation other than time, use of money, because they get their money back. Values, again, are exactly the same to the executive. No matter which one of these 7 you do, those top 3 numbers are always the same.
Okay, so in this scenario, this is hugely leveraged because we're actually paying our taxes via a policy loan, starting in the end of the first year or the second, or beginning of the second year, however you want to look at it. And I can compare this to these other plans on Insmark so I can see which one is the better deal and which one am I okay. Not everybody will be comfortable with leverage. You know, they're going to say, hey, what happens if I have a bad year? What if I have a 2001, 2, and 3 year? So this is just an option. And I think you should look at suitability issues when you're talking about this. Clients that are used to leverage, margin, things of this nature, that is the kind of client I'm looking for. And they have huge liquidity issues. I don't want to be able to feel like they're forced into something like this. Leverage, margin, things of this nature should always be suitable, and a client should actually have to qualify for it. Bob, but I looked at this second part of this.
That's the corp cost.
This is the corp cost, and I'm looking at the cost here. This doesn't look, except for his actual bonus, there's really no cost in this.
Not a lot.
No, I mean, it looks pretty small.
Yeah, compared to the payout. to the
Yeah,
executive.
compared to the payout. When I'm thinking about this is one of these areas where we're trying to do something for our executive. We're doing it as not only maybe a recruitment inducement, but this is a huge retention issue for high execs. If you have a rainmaker or maybe somebody that's running your show at your business, and the admin, he's really really controlling your business, the operations of the day-to-day workings of your practice. To me, that number, when you're looking at this from it, I'm just handing out this I can be discriminatory. I can hand this to my executives and quarantine those people to receive a bonus like that. There's not a lot of money in this for the exec. We're going to pay it out in some way anyways. This is totally tax advantaged.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, when you think about leverage like this, and again, we're using, one of our examples is we're using ING's basic solar plan, which allows us to go in and get policy values and proviso that we've had a good year and the arbitrage of the loans have worked. When I look at this as an example, I can take all 7, going back to our original premise, I can take all 7 and compare these different iterations, all 7 of them, and see which one is the better deal. This to me shows that we're doing due diligence, that we've looked through the entire package, and this is why I think even though executive 162s are pretty much, everybody's known that, it's been around for 30 years or so, to me, this puts on a whole new light. It retreads an old idea and brings new life into it because we have 7 different options to be able to perform the bonus. To me, Bob, that's the beauty of Insmark on this, because now you've taken something and resuscitated an entire strategy and brought it back into the planning world using Insmark and leveraging it.
That's what we try to do.
Well, that's our show for today. Remember, you can read all my online insurance news commentary, advisor blogs, and articles on Producer's Web, as well as my answers to consumer questions on the Insurance Library. And don't forget to view any of our past episodes at our on-demand section located at www.downtobusiness.ashbrokerage.com. So don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn, or just email me, steve.savant@ashbrokerage.com. And remember, you could be wiser as an Ash Brokerage advisor.